Subtracting mixed numbers when you have to borrow is the same as adding or subtracting. You always start out with writing the fraction or the problem vertically. So I've got 8 1/4 minus 3 2/3. First thing you need to do is find your common denominator. I know that 4 and 3's common denominator is 12. Now I have to change my numerators. 4 times 3 is 12, so 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 times 4 is 12, so 2 times 4 is 8. The last thing that you need to do before you can start actually subtracting is keep your whole numbers. Remember, the whole numbers stay the same, so you just bring them over to create your new problem. Here's the place where it can get a little tricky. If I look, I cannot take 8 away from 3. If it was whole numbers, we would just borrow, carry our 1, be done. But because it is fractions, we have to consider how we borrow. In order to borrow, I have to take away from the 8 wholes. So I'm going to take away one of my wholes, and I'm going to transfer it over to my parts. So instead of having 8 wholes, I now have 7. Once you've borrowed from the wholes, you now have 1 whole and then your 3/12. So you have to actually change this into an improper fraction. So I am saying that I have 12/12, which is your whole, plus my 3/12, which is what I started out with. That gives me 15/12. So my new fraction becomes 7 15/12. Now, there is a shortcut. The shortcut is being bad. What this means is that you have to borrow, then add. So we borrowed, that's where we got our 7 and our extra 1 whole in the fraction column. The adding comes when you add the denominator plus the numerator. So 12 plus 3 gives me 15. That is my new numerator. It is the exact same as adding 12/12 to get 15/12. It just cuts out the extra step. So to go back to our steps, to be bad, we borrow from the whole number. So we borrow from 8, it becomes a 7. Then we add the numerator and denominator, so 3 plus 12 is going to give me 15, and that is my new numerator. Some people find at this point it helps to rewrite the fraction. So I've got 7 15/12 minus 3 8/12. Or you can just use it as it is written. Our next step is to subtract the numerators. So 15 minus 8 gives me 7. The next step is to keep my denominator. So since my denominator was 12, it stays 12. We then need to subtract the whole numbers. So 7 minus 3 gives me 4. And if we look, I do not have an improper fraction, nor do I have to change it and simplify it. So I do not have to complete number 6 yet again. So my answer is 4 7/12.